Hello, my name is Chanda Patni and I'm a registered dietitian. In today's session, I'm going to talk to you about healthy eating for the Indian community for people with type 2 diabetes. If we start by looking at what is type 2 diabetes, diabetes is a condition where the amount of glucose in your blood is too high because your body can't use it properly. This happens because your pancreas doesn't produce enough of the hormone insulin that helps the glucose leave your bloodstream and enter your body cells for energy, or the insulin that is produced does not work correctly, and this is known as insulin resistance. Why are we concerned about diabetes in South Asian populations? We know that people from South Asian communities, such as the Indian community, the Pakistani community, and the Bangladeshi community, are known to be up to 6 times more likely to have type 2 diabetes compared to the general population. The South Asian community is also at risk of developing type 2 diabetes from the age of 25 as opposed to 40 in the Caucasian population. South Asians with type 2 diabetes aged between 20 to 60 are also at an increased risk of cardiovascular problems and their associated conditions, such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and heart attacks. And the survival rates in this relatively young population group are also significantly lower compared to that of the Caucasian population. So the key message from this slide is South Asian people are at higher risks of diabetes and associated heart conditions. But there's a lot we can do to help improve our conditions and the outcomes associated with these. Making changes to your lifestyle, diet, and physical activity levels are really important to reducing your risk of diabetes, causing you problems now and in the future. Eating a healthy, balanced diet can help you manage your diabetes and protect your long-term health. It can help you to control your blood glucose levels, your blood fat levels, that's including cholesterol. It can help you control your blood pressure and also manage your weight. People with diabetes should eat a healthy, balanced diet similar to that of the general population. The Eat Well guide represents the main food groups and shows how much of these foods as a proportion of your diet you should eat to have a well-balanced diet. So looking at the Eat Well guide, you can see there's 5 main food groups there. If we start by looking at the fruit and vegetable group, the main suggestion here is to eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables each day. The next food group is that of the starchy carbohydrate foods. These are foods such as potato, pasta, rice, chapati, and other starchy carbohydrates. What we encourage here is to choose whole grain or high fiber versions of these foods with less added fat, salt, and sugar. The next food group is that of the protein foods, which includes things such as beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, and other sources of protein. What we encourage here is to eat more beans and pulses. Aim for 2 portions of fish a week, one of which should be an oily fish, and eat less red and processed meats. The next food group is that of the dairy and alternatives. And what we would encourage here is to choose lower fat and sugar versions. And the smallest food group on the plate is that of the fatty and sugary foods. And one of the key recommendations here is to choose unsaturated fats and ensure that you're having these in as small a quantity as possible. In general, with this group, you're looking to reduce your intake of fatty and sugary foods and those which contain salt. The recommendation for fluid is to aim to have between 6 to 8 glasses of fluid a day to keep you well hydrated. And there's also information on the Eat Well guide which gives you an indication about checking food labels to make sure the foods you're picking are as low in fat, sugar and salt as possible. so do have a read of food labels. These healthy eating tips are general, so it's always important that you have a think about your own blood glucose levels, blood pressure levels, cholesterol levels, and your weight in order to decide which dietary changes you'd start to like making first and then build on these gradually going forward. And remember, the reason that you're making dietary changes is in order to improve your diabetes control and prevent those complications from happening in the future. Top tips to help you achieve a balanced diet. Eating regular meals, such as breakfast, lunch, and evening meal, may help you to manage your hunger and avoid overeating. Reduce your portion sizes to help you reduce and maintain a healthy weight. A useful way to do this is filling half of your plate with vegetables, a quarter of your plate with protein, and a quarter of your plate with starchy carbohydrate foods. You may also try using a smaller plate and avoid having second helpings. Choose healthier carbohydrates. All carbohydrate foods affect your blood glucose levels, so it's important to know which foods contain carbohydrate. Choose the healthier foods that contain carbohydrate, and remember to keep your carbohydrate portions to 1/4 plate. Some healthy sources of carbohydrate include wholemeal chapati flour, millet flour such as bajra, brown rice, whole oats, fruit and vegetables, pulses such as chickpeas, beans, and lentils, dairy such as unsweetened yogurt and milk. At the same time, it's also important to cut down on foods low in fibre, such as white bread, white flour, white rice, and highly processed cereals, such as Rice Krispies, corn flakes, and sugar puffs. Eat less salt. Eating lots of salt can increase your risk of high blood pressure, which in turn increases your risk of heart disease and stroke. And when you have diabetes, you're already at a greater risk of these conditions. So try to limit yourself to a maximum of 6 grams, that's approximately 1 teaspoon of salt a day. But do remember that many packaged foods and pre-prepared foods contain salt, so do read the food labels and choose those with less salt. And I would really encourage you, because a lot of Indian cookery is made from scratch at home, you should try to cook without using salt. Use the herbs and spices to add the extra flavour. Eat less red and processed meat. Often people, when they're cutting down on their carbohydrate intake, sometimes start to have bigger portions of meat. It's not a good idea to do this because red and processed meats such as ham, bacon, sausages, lamb are actually linked with heart problems and certain types of cancers. Try swapping the red and processed meats for foods such as pulses, these are the beans and lentils, eggs, fish, chicken, unsalted nuts. An important point to remember is that beans, peas and lentils are a really high source of fibre, so therefore they don't affect your blood glucose levels very much, so they're a really good alternative to red meat and processed meats, and they also help to keep you fuller for longer. Fish is also a really good source of protein in the diet, and we encourage the oily fish such as salmon and mackerel, because these fish contain something called omega-3, which can help to protect your heart. So the general guideline is to eat 2 portions of fish a week, one of which should be a white fish and one of which should be an oily fish. Eat more fruit and vegetables. You know you're aiming for 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day, so I would suggest eating more vegetables at meal times, at least half of your plate, and perhaps using fruit as snacks between your meals if you're hungry. This will help to ensure that you get the vitamins, minerals, and fibre your body needs to keep healthy. You might be wondering about the fruit and whether you need to avoid this, but fruits contain a natural sugar, and that's very different to foods which contain added sugar, such as chocolates, biscuits, and cakes. So it is absolutely fine for you to have fruit, whole fruits in the day, but do make sure that you split out your intake of fruit. So perhaps a portion in the morning, a portion in the afternoon, and a portion in the evening if you require, but don't eat your fruit all together in one large portion. It's also important to remember fruit juice is actually classed as an added sugar. Fruit juice can increase your blood glucose level very quickly. Therefore, it's not something that we suggest that you start drinking at various times over the course of the day. Choose healthier fats. We all need fat in our diet because it gives us energy, but different types of fat affect our health in different ways. Healthier fats are found in foods such as the unsalted nuts, seeds, avocado, oily fish, olive oil, or rapeseed oil. Some saturated fats can increase the amount of cholesterol in your blood, which then increases your risk of heart problems. They're found in products such as red and processed meats, in ghee, in butter, biscuits, cakes, pastries, and pies. It's also a good idea to cut down on using oils in general. So try to grill, steam, or bake foods instead. Cut down on added sugar. So those were things such as sugar, gore, jaggery, cakes, biscuits, chocolates, fizzy drinks with full sugar in them, energy drinks. Some useful swaps would be to change the use of sugar for an artificial sweetener instead. Swapping sugary drinks and energies and fruit juices with water or plain milk or tea or coffee without sugar. Cutting down on these added sugars can help you to control your blood glucose levels and keep your weight down. Choose snacks wisely. If you would like a snack, have a piece of fruit or one low-fat, low-sugar yogurt or unsalted nuts or seeds instead of things like crisps, chips, biscuits, chocolates, chevra, gatia. If you're trying to watch your weight, it is important to remember to watch your portion sizes of these healthy foods, because this will help you to manage your weight better. Drink alcohol sensibly. Alcohol is high in calories, so if you do drink and you're trying to lose weight, think about cutting it back. Try to keep to a maximum of 14 units a week, but spread this 14 units out over the course of the week to avoid episodes of binge drinking. And try to have several days in the week, at least 2 to 3, where there's no alcohol consumed. Avoid diabetic labelled foods. There isn't any evidence to say these foods offer you any special benefits over healthy eating. They often contain just the same amount of fat and calories as similar products, and they can still affect your blood glucose levels. And these products sometimes have a laxative effect on your bowel, therefore they are not recommended. And try to get your minerals and vitamins from a normal diet, from foods. There's no evidence that mineral and vitamin supplements help you manage your diabetes. And this is the same for herbal products. There is no evidence that these help to manage your diabetes. So unless you've been told to take a supplement by your healthcare team, for example, folic acid for pregnancy, you don't need to take any additional supplements. It's better to get your essential nutrients by eating a mixture of different foods. And there's also the problem that some supplements can affect your medications or make some diabetes complications worse, such as kidney disease. Alongside these top tips, another top tip is keep active. Being more physically active goes hand in hand with healthier eating. It can help you manage your diabetes and also reduce the risk of heart problems. This is because it increases the amount of glucose used by your muscles and helps your body use insulin more effectively. Try to aim for about 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week. Now, this activity should make you feel a little bit warmer and slightly out of breath, but you should still be able to maintain a conversation with somebody whilst you're exercising. You don't need to do the 150 minutes all in one go. You might break it down into 10-minute chunks or even 30 minutes of activity 5 times a week. And with the good weather now coming in, going out for walks might be an ideal way to start. In summary, type 2 diabetes is a condition where your blood glucose is too high due to a lack of insulin and/or insulin resistance. It's important to have good blood glucose control to reduce the risk of complications. If you're overweight, losing weight is the most important thing you can do. I'd encourage everybody to take this opportunity to make positive dietary changes in order to stay well now and going forward. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video.